Hey guys, Rob here. So in today's video, I just want to share with you guys my two favorite cooking systems that I bring backpacking. All right, so like I said, I want to share with you guys my two favorite cooking systems, and these are both systems that I've been using for a couple of years now. And we're not only going to go over my systems, I'm also going to go over like the fuels I use. We're going to go over how I clean my dishes. We're going to go over some extra things that I will bring on the trail with me, depending on what I'm going to cook up. So the basics is just right here. So we're gonna break into all this stuff and I'm gonna explain everything. So as you guys know, you guys watch my channel, I do a lot of cooking on the channel, and not so much just like boil in the bag type food, you know, dehydrated stuff. I actually like to cook. I like to eat real food sometimes. When I'm out and I get to my camp or where I'm gonna make my lunch or something like that, I really do enjoy just sitting down, taking in nature and making something good to eat. I'm never really in a rush. When I go out on these trips, I usually pre-plan. If I'm in a rush, then I'll bring dehydrated food, but if I'm bringing pots and pans and stuff like that, it's because I'm not in a rush and I want to just relax and just enjoy nature. So cooking is a big part of the channel here, and I have my stuff here, my favorite things here. I have a lot of cooking gear. You know, over the years, I've pieced together different kits. I don't buy kits, but hopefully if you're looking to get out and do similar stuff that you see that we do here on the channel, maybe this will give you some ideas on what to get, how to clean your stuff up, just some basic general tips. All right, so the first kit that we're gonna start out with is going to be this one right here. And I'm gonna set this one off to the side. And the reason why we're gonna start off explaining this one here is because this one is the lightest and it's also the cheapest. So both of these kits are alcohol stoves. And like I said, guys, I'm never in a rush really when I get out. If I'm in a rush, I'll bring isobutane and a stove to go with that. But most of the time, 9 times out of 10, you guys are gonna see me cooking with alcohol. For one, it's quiet. 2, it's nice to look at a flame. And if it's low light enough, you will see a flame, especially with the fuel that I prefer, which we're gonna talk about later on. And it's relaxing. So what we have here is just this little sleeve. And if we open this thing up, I'm gonna pull this out. So you guys see here, we have a little pot. And inside this kit here, so I'll put the weight of this thing, this stove by itself, this whole kit by itself. You guys can see here, I do have fuel. That's a consumable, so we're not gonna count it in the weight of the stove itself. But what I have in here is fuel for it. This is 3 ounces, and this is enough for me to get about, I'm gonna say probably 45 minutes, close to an hour worth of burn time just off this. If there's not any wind, or you can create a screen or something to block it. So next thing in here is just gonna be some aluminum foil that's folded up. And I like to use this as a windscreen just in case, if I need a little bit extra. Or I can use it as a pot cover to cover my food. That way mosquitoes or bugs don't get into it. What else we got in here? We have a lighter here, and we could make this kit a little bit lighter if we went with a Bic Mini, but this is a regular size, no big deal. I've got a piece of this here. I'll put the name of it on the screen. I can't remember what this is called, but this is that like fire retardant fabric. And I use this for handling the pot. That way I don't burn my hands. And then I've got my pot stand here. We'll talk about that in a second. And my actual stove is just a cat food can. Simple as that. It's a tiny cat food can. I think this is like one of those fancy feasts. I don't know, like a $3 can of cat food. And just pop the lid off, and then you just shave the inside right there. That way you don't have any sharp burrs or anything to cut yourself on later. And this thing is feather light. If I toss it in the air, it'll probably blow away. So that's the stove there. And then I keep a piece of aluminum foil, but this is actually from an aluminum baking tray. You know those like disposable ones that you'd bring to like a cookout or something? Well, I took that and I cut it, folded it in half, so that way it's twice as strong. And you guys can see it takes the shape of the inside of this cup here really well. So everything nestles in there nice and neat. And then the last piece of this kit here is going to be the pot itself. This is just a GSI aluminum. It's windy today, guys. So This is just a GSI aluminum like coffee mug slash pot, and it's a pretty nice pot. So I mean, as far as like money goes into this whole kit, Bic lighter, what's that running these days? $2-3. Cat food can, $2-3. This right here I believe was $8. Your disposable baking tray, what do those run? A couple of bucks. So I mean, if I had to guess, I'm gonna say all this stuff is probably maybe $20 at most. So back to the pot stand here for the cat food canister. I just took these 2 pieces of stainless steel and I cut it to the size, the length that I wanted. And then I actually cut, I don't know if you guys can see that there, but I actually cut slits in it. That way this can interlock in itself like that. And then this fits right on top of the cat food can stove. So a little bit of DIY going on, but it's cheaper this way if you buy it like this. Plus two, all the pot stands that I saw on Amazon didn't necessarily fit my needs. So I decided I'm just gonna make it, and that works perfectly because you can put your pot on top. This here sleeve here that we made, this windscreen, just folds around it just like that. And then you take your pot and you just set your pot right on top of there. And now you have a windscreen, you have your stove, you can cook in the wind in whatever elements, and you're good. And if you happen to need just a little bit more protection from the wind, you have this extra piece of aluminum foil. And you guys can see this thing opens out really wide. You can manipulate this however you need. So that's gonna be my first kit right there. And most of the time, like when I'm on trail or whatever, if I know I'm gonna be cooking dehydrated foods and I still wanna use alcohol stove, this is what I'm bringing. Just because it's really lightweight, especially if I have a far distance to go and I'm trying to keep my base weight down, this is what I'm gonna bring with me. All right, so moving on to more advanced technical cooking. This is what I'm bringing. I have this Sea to Summit bag here, and I just use it to kind of hold all my stuff in here. So right here, I'm gonna pull this out. We've got my pot set right there, and my stove is also in there. And then I'm gonna pull all this other stuff out. And this may seem like a lot, but like I said, sometimes I won't bring all this stuff. I'll limit some of these items down, but for today's video, I wanted to bring everything that would go in a kit if I was gonna like maximize whatever I'm doing. So here we go. Titanium tongs. You guys, if you guys follow back far enough, you guys have seen I've used this a lot. Flipping fish, flipping steaks, all kinds of stuff. Doesn't really weigh anything, it's titanium. These have been great. And then just a typical long handle spork spoon right there, titanium. And it's just nice having these here. So I bring them. I've got an MSR pot grabber. I've had this bad boy for a long time. And then we've got a GSI lightweight spatula. Like I said, depending on what I'm cooking, I might not need all this stuff. So just have all this stuff here for the kit for today. We've also got a little kitchen knife here with a little sheath on it. And I'll use this, you know, for vegetables. I fillet fish with this thing, and you know, I can prepare steak and stuff like that. So I do have another knife that I keep in my pack, but sometimes depending on what I'm doing, I don't want to use my knives for food and then for other things out in the field. So I always like to have a separate blade for that. And then also too, more aluminum foil here. Like I said, this could be used as a windscreen, it could be used as a pot cover, things like that. So that's all that's inside this bag. Oh, and I also like to keep some oil, olive oil preferably, because it has a high calorie content. And for the bottle I use to hold the oil in, it's like a non-leak bottle. This will never leak. This is just a Listerine bottle. I went to the store, I went to the travel section, bought a couple of these, dumped the Listerine out, and then cleaned them out really good, removed the labeling, and filled it with oil. And I've never had any issues with this leaking ever. So that's why I carry that, because I don't want to have any leaks in my bag and stuff like that. All right, so now for our stove and our pot here, this is what we got. This is a Toaks Titanium 750. And this little pot has been amazing. I've had it for a while now, and I've cooked all kinds of stuff in this thing. boiled rice in it, coconut milk rice. I've made mac and cheese in this thing. I've made, oatmeal, coffee. There's a lot of different things that I've made in this pot here, and it's always worked. So I like that it has this lid. And set this off to the side here. I have the rest of my stove kit inside the pot, and it fits in there nice and perfect. So we're gonna go ahead and start with the stove. Actually, you know what? Let's start with the smaller things. So MSR salt shaker right here. A little bit of foil. Never hurts to have extra of this stuff, because when you're out in a windy situation and you need that coverage, you're gonna be glad that you bought it with you. Small little Scotch-Brite here, and typically I won't use this whole thing. I'll cut a section off, but we'll talk about that later when we get into the cleaning part. Small little mini Bic lighter. And then I've got this here silicone, it's like a pot grabber or something, that way you don't burn yourself. And I'll usually just stick it on my pot just like that, and it snaps in there. And then do all my cooking that way. And then when I need to grab it off the fire, I could just quickly do that and I don't have to worry about tipping anything over. I also keep another one of those fire retardant cloths in here. That's also for handling stuff as well. And then I've got 2 stoves in here, all right? And I'm gonna explain why I have 2 stoves. So this one right here, this is another titanium stove here. This is the Lixada folding stove, and this is a twig stove / alcohol stove. And I've got both of them. I have the regular stainless steel, and then later I had upgraded to the titanium because it's lighter. And these have just been amazing. So it's a completely hinged design. There's no like loose parts right here. And you just fold this thing up. You put the bottom plate on. And then you put the top plate on right here. And this has a hole in it that the alcohol stove will sit inside of. And then you close the door. And then hinge it right there. Just get those lined up. And then you just take your pin and you run your pin through there just like that. And now you have a folding stove. It's only about, it's like 4 by 4 inches and then maybe 4.5 inches tall. So really small and compact. And I made a slight modification and I drilled holes. I'll pull this plate out just to show you guys real quick. So this alcohol stove plate, I cut little notches on all 4 of the corners, and I'm going to tell you guys exactly what that's for. Just got to put this back together now. So that's like that, and then I've got these pieces of steel rod. This is like 1/8 inch, I believe, and these right here, they just slide right in into those notches that I cut out, just like that. And the reason I did that is because since we're cooking with alcohol, this raises the pot higher up. So it actually creates more heat, because if the pot is too close to the alcohol stove, the pot won't get hot enough. So the more you increase that gap, the hotter temperatures you can get. And I figured that out by experience playing around with it. But for the stove that we have here, the alcohol stove, this is a Trangia alcohol stove, and it doesn't have the standard Trangia lid on here because I swapped it over for the Red Camp alcohol stove. This has a better lid, and Trangia makes a better stove. So I combined them both, and now I'm good. So we take the alcohol stove, and then we can put it inside of here just like this. And it sits nice and neat inside of there. And now we can do our cooking. So reason I like this Lixada folding stove is because not only is it a pot stand, it's also a windbreak, and if you ran out of fuel for your alcohol stove, you can burn twigs out of this thing. So this is actually a twig stove as well. So you have the best of both worlds, and you have peace of mind. That way you don't have to carry extra fuel, or maybe you might want to light a fire and do your cooking on there. Put your pot up there just like that, and you're good to go. All right, so we have both of our stove systems right here, and now we can also increase the type of foods that we want to cook by simply bringing along an extra pot and pan. So you guys can see here, I've got 2 pans right here. And these are well-used pans. I've cooked a lot of food in them. They don't get like this unless you're using them. And these are both titanium pans. So lightweight. The difference between the two is this one actually has a handle built in, which is nice. Because then if you bring this pan, now you don't have to bring these pot grabbers. So you can also bring this one too, and you can use this one as a plate to eat out of, because both of these pans are extremely lightweight. And like I said, for all these items, I'm gonna put the weights on the screen as I show them off. So right here, this is a newer item that I've had for a couple of months now. And this is a non-stick baking pan that I got with a totally different system that I'll talk more about later. But the pan has been really nice because it's non-stick, it's white, and it's aluminum, so it's really lightweight. And I've actually been using this. I'll bring this with me. Like sometimes I'll bring this cook kit right here, and I'll bring this to go with it. And sometimes I'll bring this right here, and I'll actually use this to go with this one there, just like that. And I'll show you guys how this one looks with the pot on it, or the pan I should say. As you can see, this sets right on top of there, just like that. It's really easy. And I've cooked a lot of different things out of here as well. You know, I've made that salmon and rice with vegetables. I've made fish and vegetables in here. I've fried fish in this thing. There's just a lot of different things that I've cooked on this exact setup here. And obviously the wind is key, so you know, make sure you put a screen up or something, but it's definitely doable. So like I said, this particular setup here is more advanced, and this is also the most expensive. So I think I have probably about $100 worth of gear right here, just on this titanium stuff right here. And it's been nice. I've gotten a lot of uses out of this stuff. And you know, I always say, guys, you don't have to buy everything at once. If you want to build a kit like this, piece it together. One thing here, one thing there. You don't have to have titanium sporks and stuff like that. You know, you don't have to have all that stuff. You can get away with using other things that are just as good. Even the alcohol stove itself, the Red Camp alcohol stove is, I believe it's $10. And the Trangia, I think, is like 20 or 25 or something like that. And then the same thing with this here Luxada twig stove. I think that right there is like $30 or $35 for that thing. And then the pan here is like another $30, $35. You know, the Tokes here, I think this right here was like 25 or something like that. I don't remember the exact prices, but they were up there around that cost. I didn't buy everything at once. I pieced it together. I figured, oh, well, I need this. Let me go online and see if there's something like that exists. And if there was, I would purchase it. So this is just what happens to work for me. You may not need all this stuff. One thing I will mention too, that's super important, all right? Titanium is nice. It's really strong. It's not gonna bend or anything. It's not gonna warp. But there are some cons, and the cons are you got to be real careful with cooking your food, and you got to pay close attention, because especially if you're going to cook with titanium, use a stove that's actually going to more evenly disperse the heat, because you don't want to create a hot spot right in the center of the pan here, because all your food right there is going to burn, and everything else out here is going to stay cold. So the more you can dissipate or spread that heat out over the bottom of the pan, the better your cooking is going to be. Also too, there's going to be times where you might have to hold the pan above the flame source just to keep stuff from burning. So it's definitely has a learning curve, and it's just something that you got to go slow on. You can't cook pancakes on titanium. All right, let's just get that out of the way. I tried, and it was really hard controlling the heat on them. You can fry eggs in this thing. I had no problem doing that as long as the pan's got oil on it. I fried bacon in here, a lot of different things. So cleanup is really nice because this thing hardly scratches. So what I'll usually do is I'll take my spoon or whatever, my titanium spoon, when I'm done eating. If there's anything still stuck to the pan, I'll just scrape it all out of there, you know. But we're gonna talk more about cleaning here in just a second. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about fuels that I like to use. So there's two types of fuels that I use. There's one that I use way more than the other, but the other one is a backup just in case I ever ran out. The two types are gonna be regular isopropyl alcohol, 91%. And then the second type of fuel that I like to use is gonna be this here, HEAT. And this is actually my favorite to use because this burns clear. It doesn't leave any residue on the pots and pans. It burns really hot. And it's probably around the same price as the rubbing alcohol. So these are gonna run you about $2 at Walmart. You can find them on Amazon. AutoZone's got them too. They're gonna be a little bit more money at AutoZone, like $3 a bottle. But this is a 12-ounce bottle, so you'll get a lot of cooking out of this one bottle. And I haven't had any problems with this leaking over the years that I've been using this. And you can find these bottles at the travel section in Walmart for like $1, so, or 50 cents. They're pretty cheap. So they work out good. Carry 2-3 of these usually. And then my next option is my favorite right here, which is this bottle right here. And this is a 8-ounce bottle. And this has the heat poured inside of it. And this bottle will not leak. This is such a good bottle right here. And this is actually a Goo Gone bottle. So you know, like that stuff that you guys can use to remove stickers, residue, glue residue. This is that bottle. So you can buy Goo Gone from Amazon for this same bottle. You can buy it for like $3 or $4. And then all you need to do is just empty the contents out into another container, clean the inside out really good, remove the stickers off of it by using the Goo Gone. That way you have a nice clear bottle and you can see, and then you're good to go. And this right here has a really nice locking mechanism on the cap as well. So it's one of those like safety ones where you got to twist it like what's on the Listerine bottles. And now you have your fuel, and that's not going to leak whatsoever. No matter how much you squeeze on this thing, it's not going to leak. So if it's in your pack, you don't have to worry about losing your fuel by carrying this. So one other thing I forgot to mention earlier that can go with either of these kits here is my little cutting board. And this is just one of those small flexible ones, size of my hand here, probably about 8 by 5 or 6 inches. And I've had this thing for a while. It's got a lot of battle marks on it. And this is by GSI Outdoors. And I think it's probably $10 or something like that. But it's nice and handy. I can fillet fish on top of this thing. I can cut steaks up and vegetables, and you know, it's just been really nice. I can also use it as an extra protection layer when I'm handling like hot foods. I could set it on top of there and I can eat my food. And then another thing here that I'll bring sometimes is going to be this windscreen. And this thing just folds down really nice and small. And this is not by Firebox or anything. This is actually by Gas One. And you can find this thing on Amazon. I don't think I paid a lot of money for it. It was pretty cheap. But it just opens out like this here. And now you have your windscreen. And you can do all your cooking that way. You can double it up and fold it like this here. So now it's 2 layers. And that just gives extra strength for when you're cooking. You can help shield all that wind. And you can also, I've used this thing to help like bake foods and stuff. If you guys watch my Thanksgiving video, you guys will see how I did it there. But you could also fold this thing up into like almost thirds, and now you can use it as maybe like a little improvised table on your lap, or you could set stuff down on it and then put it inside your tent. You know, that way you don't burn anything. So if you had a hot pan or maybe a really hot bag of Mountain House meal or something, you can put it on top of this and then set this inside your tent. And you don't have to worry about that the heat going through and ruining any of your gear. All right, so for cleaning my dishes, how I do it is I usually always have, and it's gonna be in my food bag, is like maybe 2 or 3 wipes, like wet wipes, in a separate Ziploc bag, or maybe a couple of paper towels that I ripped in half in a separate Ziploc bag. And what I'll usually do is, let's pretend that this is water here. I'll pour some of this water into the pan, just a little bit, and then I might put it back on the heat and let the water boil, and it'll loosen up all the stuff that's still stuck to your pot or your pan. And then I'll take my spoon or spork or whatever I have, and I'll take that paper towel, I'll break a piece off, and I'll put it in that dirty boiling water. Then I take my spoon and I'll go around and I'll start working that paper towel all around to get all that stuff up. And that way I'm not burning my hand or anything, but I still have a lot of heat, and that really helps get a lot of that gunk and stuff off of there. Now, I usually don't use a lot of water at first. I use maybe 2 or 3 spoonfuls of water and then do that. And then with my trash bag, and this is what we use for trash bags here on this channel when we're out, is smelly proof bags. These are odor resistant bags, meat bags, and they work really, really well. So I've got a couple different sizes. This one is the heavy duty one. I'll take that gunk water, whatever's left, it's not gonna be a lot, and I'll usually pour it into this bag here. I keep one as a trash bag, and after all my trips, I always clean these things out and reuse them. I'll put some bleach in here and some soap, hot water, shake it around for a bit, let it sit and soak and sanitize, and then after that I'll clean it out really well and let this dry. So I'll take my dirty water from here and my little cleaning rag, my paper towel, and I'll dump that out. And if there's still debris in here, I'll put a little bit more water, repeat that process, do the same thing, dump that dirty water out into here, and then I'll take a clean paper towel and then I'll actually start wiping it. And once I get all that stuff up, usually by the second, third pass, this thing is good. And then I can put this away. Same thing goes for like the pots. I do the same thing with the spoon. If there's stuff in here, I'll try to get it out with that, rinse it out and stuff. But really easy process to do. And you're also not just like dumping your food bits and stuff on the ground. So back to these here bags, these smelly proof bags. Like I said, I have a couple different sizes, and each one depends on what I'm doing. If I'm going on a multi-day trip, I'll probably bring like maybe 2 of these, or this big one and this small one for packing trash out. And I like to use them because they're scent proof, you know, all the scent stays within the bag, and they're extremely thick and durable. I've not gotten any holes in these bags, and I reuse them. I don't think I've thrown one bag away, and I haven't had any issues with any holes or anything in there. So the bags work out really, really well. So if you're in an area and you have to have a food hang or something like that, I will usually put all my food and stuff in here. Pots, pans, whatever else that might have a scent will go inside of here, and then I'll put this inside of my food hang bag itself, and then that goes up into a tree. That way my food is up off the ground, it's away from my tent, and I'm doing the best that I can to eliminate odors in the air. All right guys, so those are my 2 favorite cooking kits that I like to bring, and you'll probably always see them in videos. And I hope that you guys got something out of this video, and I hope that maybe it'll help inspire you to get out and cook something good on trail. We're gonna end it here. If you guys liked the video, do me a favor, hit that thumbs up for me. If you found anything helpful, hit that thumbs up for me. And subscribe if you're new as always. Share the video to help get it out there, help us grow. And till next time guys, I'll see you on the trail. Peace.